a lot different now, and you better change with the changes or you'll be left behind. So it's been unique. It's been interesting. It's been actually pretty cool with us as we try to adjust the way and how we're recruiting and with our roster and trying to get the roster the way that we need it to be. I feel really good about the guys we brought in December, and I thought we added some really good additions to our recruiting class here today. And there'll be some more that we'll get here later on in the spring.
Coach, you mentioned the changes to recruiting. How have you guys kind of adjusted to those changes, and what are some of those changes that you guys have tried to implement to make it more efficient for you?
Well, I think first and foremost, understanding this portal and how it's working and how it affects your program. I mean, you think about it. I mean, recruiting, usually a signing day, then you're good, and then you have the February signing day, then you're good, but there's no more you're good because of the portal. You can have signing day, but you still have some kids that's looking to join your team, so you don't stop recruiting, and then you think from that standpoint, you got to recruit your own roster, because you be out on the road recruiting, then you get a phone call, hey coach, I'm going in the portal, and it's like, what are we doing, and now you hadn't prepared for that guy, which if you did, you could have prepared for that in the signing class, and then you get that. So that part's different, and it's to the point now where as a coach, you can't go in thinking everything is just set. Your roster is set. Right now, the way the rules are, I don't think anybody's roster is ever set. And that's challenging, but it's part of the process you got to adjust to and figure out what's the best way for you and your program to continue to improve and be better in this situation.
Coach, how has maybe, I know we haven't talked about this yet, but, when it comes to the recruiting trail, how has, Coach Dearman and Coach Orlando been helping you in kind of getting the guys that you want to bring into FAU?
Well, I think for Coach Dearman and Coach Orlando, I think they're going to help more in the next class than they could now. They just got here, so just getting here, and I will say they've done a good job on the road, and I really like the way they recruit and with the enthusiasm they have about it. They love doing it, so that's a plus, and I know with them being here for a while, they're going to do a great job with us. Just watching them in the last, I guess, 2 weeks that they were here and able to really Orlando 2 weeks and Dearman 1 week. Just watching those guys there, I know they're going to be a big plus to what we're doing. But I think a big part of us too, and a big reason not to sign so many guys is that we do have new coordinators in here, and it give them time to see what we have as a roster and how we can fill with these remaining spots that we have to help our football team going into next fall. I wanted to make sure they get a chance to get here and see our players and understand our players and know exactly what we need to do to help us going into the fall.
Coach, one of those positions that has not yet been addressed is the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. Is there kind of a plan in place to add, potentially one more arm to that room, whether that be through the portal or even a high school guy?
Come on, Kev, you always want to let me get on this. Again, we're not done yet. We're not done with our recruiting class. I think as we move forward, you'll see us address all the needs that we need to address moving forward, and making sure we get the right guys in here, and especially at that position. You just can't get anyone. It's got to be the right one, and I want to make sure Coach Dearman have to say in that person as well. So, like I said, we're not done by any means with this signing class, and we're going to make sure we get the right guys in here to continue to build our roster and our program the way that we need to, and with the mindset that we only have 6 seniors going into this season. So I think it's important that we get some experience in here too to help with this, with our young football team.
And when you have a young football team like this, you know, you're recruiting more and more freshmen coming in. You guys added a bunch of kind of true freshmen, incoming high school guys today. How important is it to find those guys who, may offer that depth initially, but, have that kind of raw ability to improve?
Well, you look at them all, and when you're evaluating, seeing the guys that have room to improve, and you expect for them to improve, and coach them up to get them where you want them to be. In this class, again, we had some needs that we needed, and we wanted to fill them up with the right guys. But I think when you look at it, you'll see a mixture of transfer and high school guys in this class, and there's a purpose behind that, again, because we're such a young team. Is getting a little more experience in here to help us is critical from that standpoint, but also adding guys in here to continue to move as we move forward. From a roster standpoint, you want to, as much as you can, try to get your roster to be that way that you would like for it, at least as close as you would like for it to be ideally, because we're by far nowhere near where we need to be from a roster management standpoint and having the guys where we need to be for a lot of different reasons. And we're trying to do it as we go through these classes and build through these classes, and having the separation through those classes where you don't have all juniors or all sophomores, having a variety, and that's the challenge, but we're getting there.
I wanted to ask about one of the guys you signed today in particular, linebacker Thomas, kind of relatively under recruited, up until probably a couple of weeks ago. What did you guys see out of him, and what does he kind of add to the linebacker room?
When you watch the film on these guys, you see, very athletic, good in space, and really tackling in space, but very instinctively. You watch, he see things happen before the play even snaps. And that's having instincts and having a good understanding of the game. And you sense that, and he's from a really well-coached football team, a really good program, and I knew his dad. I coached his dad in college. So knowing that, having that, also know what you get background-wise.
Another guy, cornerback, Michael Boone, relatively, I think, a position that's, just in terms of bodies is relatively weak after you lose both Gilbert and Moss. Do you feel like Boone is a guy who, if needed, can step in immediately and contribute?
Well, it's hard to say that about any freshman. I hope they all can come in. We're going to surely give them the opportunity to come in and compete and try to win a job, and you never know. You've seen in the past where we've had freshmen come in and win jobs and play. I do think he's very talented, and he has the mindset that you want at the corner position to play that position. But it's going to be on Mike B if he play and help us this year, and the work that he put in. He has the skills and the things that you need to play the position. Again, it's going to be on him, the work that he put in, and once he get here, Coach Harris coaching him up and try to get him in a position to where he can compete for a job.
Yeah, Coach, I feel like one of the position groups that kind of maybe needed to be addressed, and that's obviously not even a diss on players from last season, was the wide receiver group. You guys, Sean Platt and Ace Cub are those signings today. Can you kind of just maybe talk about them for a little bit and just talk about the wide receivers as a whole?
Well, again, like you said, that's a position group that we need to continue to add and get players there. But I really like the competitive edge of both of them. Ace is more of a thicker, big possession type receiver for us that can not only catch the ball but break tackles and get yaks after the catch. Come from a really good school in Jones, and we've had some success with some Jones guys here. But really good football player. Where I think his ceiling is way ahead of him. He's young, but he's very talented and got a chance to grow and be really good. Sean Platt, again, again, kind of make me feel old because I remember his dad coming out of high school recruiting him, and now I'm recruiting his son here. And his dad was that guy coming out of high school. And to get him here, Platt is, again, very talented. He can get off the line of scrimmage, press coverage at one-on-one. I mean, and he's got some size to him, lengthwise, that we like, and he can run, I think. But I think one of the most important things, other than the football part of it, is he's a smart kid that comes from a winning program. And again, when you're recruiting at Venice High School, you know what you're getting from those young men, and I've recruited there quite a bit, and every kid that I got there has helped our football program big time. And so we know what we're getting from him. He's going to be well coached and disciplined and tough, and all the things and all the characteristics that we want in our program and in our receiver group room that he can add to it. So I'm excited about him. I'm excited about him coming in and competing and trying to win a job as well.
You know, I know you mentioned that you wanted to kind of bring in some experience in here because of how young this team is. Is the wide receiver group a position where you want to bring that experience, or does that pretty much kind of pertain to the whole team?
I think it pertains to the whole team. I think in a lot of groups, some groups more than others need a little more leadership in there. Then there's some groups that have guys that have that experience and have them around. You know, so there are certain groups that need it more than others. But when you're talking about it as an entire team, you like I said, we only got 6 seniors. You know, and about 90% of our team has 2 or 3 years left on this team. So the future is bright, and what we got going on is just adding the pieces and trying, like I said earlier, making sure we get the roster as close as we can, because it'll never be, with the rules the way that they are, you'll never have an ideal roster anymore, you know, because it's just forever changing.
Coach, you've mentioned this, you know, every time you talk about all these recruits, and it's something that I even noticed. You know, a lot of these guys come from these high school programs that last season, you know, won a good amount of games, were able to win playoff games. And, you know, even the case of a guy like Platt win the state championship. But, you know, is that something that you guys kind of look at, is, you know, these guys were coming from these winning programs, and what kind of does that add to these recruits, and how does it help them?
Well, I think it helps us getting them in here and them understanding what it takes to win. You know, typically when they're doing it in high school, they adjust well coming to college, because they know the sacrifice and the things they need to do in order to win games. You know, and if you come from a losing team, a lot of times you don't know that. You know, so from that standpoint, getting guys that understand what winning and what it takes to win always help. Not that a kid can come from a team that don't win and still help your football team, but I think it helps when you can get some guys that come from winning program and integrate them in the culture that you're trying to create here. You know, so I think having someone that's had that experience coming here and getting coached hard and understanding what it's going to take, it helps. It helps with other guys that you're trying to bring along too.
You know, Coach, we've seen a history of some of the gray shirts coming in and competing immediately. You know, what do you hope to see from the group of gray shirts that come in this year from last year's recruiting class? And is it, you know, a benefit for some of these guys to be able to gray shirt and kind of, you know, put a little bit better of a body together and maybe, you know, come in a little bit more experienced in a way? Absolutely.
You know, you think about it, when these guys, it's kind of like graduating early. You know, these gray shirts, they get to come in January. And when you graduate early, those guys get to come in January. You know, and usually the ones that come in January have a better chance of helping you in the fall, you know, because they have the whole off season of working out with your strength and conditioning coach and getting bigger, stronger, and faster. But they also have the off season to learn the system and compete in spring ball and go through that, which helps them be more prepared coming into training camp. You know, so it's a big jump. And also academically, they get to go to school and not have to worry about games and practicing for game weeks and things like that, and have a better understanding of how to manage their time and things and getting adjusted to school. So getting here early really, really helps a lot of those kids from that standpoint. But also, again, the ones that want to compete and play in the fall, they get a jump on it because all the reps and things they get during the springtime. And then probably one of the biggest things you don't hear people really talk about is just getting to know their teammates. You know, getting to know them and understand their teammates during the spring is huge. You know, a lot of these guys come in the fall. I mean, they're trying to learn the offense. They're trying to learn where to go to class. Then they're trying to learn their teammates. That's a lot on a lot of young people when they're coming off the school. So when you can get some of those things behind you before you really get into the fire, I think it helps them all.
You know, Coach, one person I do want to mention is Brendan Warner. You know, obviously you talk about bringing in that experience, and I feel like the offensive line could definitely use some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just maybe talk about that in the offensive line as a whole?
Well, really excited about Brendan being here. I think he's going to be a great addition to our football team, and just watching him already just interact with our guys, it seems like he's been here forever, you know, and he's really getting along with his teammates. Those guys out there, Coach Garasio have those guys competing at everything they do out in the weight room, whether it's running with weights or everything, and he's one of the first ones to jump up in the competitions. Drill, which is great for a new guy, and he jumps up there and go in and compete. And but I see how his teammates are reacting to him. He's, again, I feel like he's doing his part and integrating himself within this team and getting to know his teammates and then learning the game of football. Looking forward to seeing him this spring. I think he's going to be a good addition and going to give us that competitive edge and on the O-line. On the O-line front, again, I'm excited about our O-line with the guys that's coming back and having a whole another year with Coach Warner. I think is big to have a whole off season with him back to back, not just one. I mean, I think that consistency is going to really pay off for our guys up front, and with the amount of guys we have coming back, I think it's going to be good for us. But I'm looking for big things from our O-line. I mean, we got to get big things from them. They have probably the most experience on the team. When you talk about as a group, you know, you look up there, a lot of those guys play a lot of football, you know, and I think we all know it starts there. So I'm excited about that. We got to replace Dez, but I think we got some guys to be able to do that.
Coach, you know, there was really a significant shift between the December signing period and the February signing period in terms of the amount of high school guys signed. You know, was that kind of intentional, the thought of adding a few more high school guys in the recruiting class, or is that kind of just, you know, how things fell and how things developed?
Well, I think a lot of it, you look at as you go out, and again, it's been great for me. It's been 2 years since I've been out recruiting. You know, so getting out on the road recruiting and seeing coaches and all has been great. I've been to some of these high schools and they changed so much I didn't know what an office was, and I've been going to the right spot every time. So, but it's been good from that standpoint, and actually getting out and seeing kids in person. You see a lot, you know, and I think getting out, you know, we're going in and we're getting transfers, and again, we'll get some more. But I think as you go, you see there's a lot of high school kids getting overlooked, some really good football players because of the portal and the way that guys are recruiting now. There's a lot of high school kids, they're good football players that's still out there and getting overlooked because of the situation, you know. So being aware of that and making sure that we're not just overlooking anybody, just doing our due diligence and researching and evaluating the talent that we see. And I feel like we found some guys that we feel like can help our football team move. Some young guys that can help our football team move forward.
You know, Coach, I know you kind of hinted at it, but, you know, what's sort of maybe the next steps right now? Because I know you guys have a lot of guys that you think contribute to this team, but, you know, I'm guessing that the work is not finished.
Oh, it's not, you know, and again, getting 2 new coordinators in here is big for us, and allowing those guys to see what we have. I mean, I think it's hard to move forward without knowing exactly what you have here now, and it give us time, and we have some scholarships left, you know, so we have time to evaluate and make sure that we use these scholarships on the right guys and the right needs for us as we go through spring ball and get ready for the fall, you know, because there's going to be more movement when it comes to the portal, and you gotta be ready for it. It's the new recruiting, you know, and you gotta keep recruiting the guys that's on your campus, you know, so it doesn't ever stop.
All right, anything else? All right, thank you, appreciate
you
it.
guys. Have a great day if you want to.
Thank you, Coach.
Go
You
out.
missed that, don't you?
You gotta patent that one, Coach.
I know, right?
Thanks for waiting, guys.
Also,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank
this
you.
is true.
No problem. Thank you so much.
All right, I won't keep you long, 5 minutes.
I didn't matter.
Coach, before you get to talk.
Oh, thank you so much. Keep it those.
I wasn't ready to put the stairs down.
You say you, JR, his dad played for you? I'm not sure whether that's great for the relationship or it makes you feel old.
It makes you feel old. Dad and then his dad played for him, and then Platt dad recruited.
Yeah.
See, I didn't recruit the Harris dad. He came in
What school is it?
at Washington. He finished first. I like it. My man Frank finding a way.
That'd be like the Marines, Coach, adapt and overcome.
Love it.
Elise, do you know what time women's basketball was landed? Is she still up there?
Yeah, she's here.
I was just texting Kylie, so I assume they already.
I haven't heard from her. I texted her. I need to find out if Sully can do that interview about Brittany.
Okay. Yeah, I'll ask her.
Are you going, Katrina?
Yes.
Can you call those guys?
Yeah.
I don't think, Dearest Thomas signed in LI.
John said it was okay to promote. Julie and I checked on him.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just, one more time check?
Yep, we'll do. Let me check with John first, but Julie 100% called and asked if we could promote him, and he was on the list that John gave us. But I can let them know that he didn't sign an NIL or NLI.